Hello, I'm Mr. Jan, and welcome to Mathematics in the Modern World. Now, I would like to share with you if AI will take over our jobs. Now, in order for you to understand, let's look upon the data provided in our slides. The index of changing work tasks in the United States economy as for 1960 until 2009 is shown below. If you will observe carefully the trends, some of the tasks are going up, some of the tasks are going down. Despite of that, what's interesting most is that the routine manual task, routine cognitive task, non-routine manual tasks are decreasing over time. Although if you will observe carefully, the non-routine manual task is somehow there's a turning point at year 2009, somehow are increasing. If you will observe also, the working with new information, solving unstructured problems are increasing over time. In this case, these are non-routine, but you are using your cognitive task when you are working with. Nowadays, technologies really changes in the fast-paced over time, and our jobs really affect. The question was, will the artificial intelligence take over our tasks? That is the reason why, to understand this trend, we need to consider the data management. Here are our goal for this session, and you may pause the video if you wanted to read everything. When presenting or representing your data, it depends on the intention. One of the misconceptions is you may use any representation data. When you're comparing categories, the best to use is column chart if you have a shorter labels. Bar charts can be used for the longer labels. Line charts can be used for the time series data. On the other hand, if you want to show the part and whole relationship or showing any proportions, donut charts, pie charts, stock bars, or column charts are the best to use. Now, let's approach with our first example. Here's our task. The goal here is to graph the data. Making sense of information, employing and interpreting have the same approach as our cycle. Now, given in the dataset, which type of graph is the best to be used for the number projects and why? Now, in our dataset, how to insert the pivot table? Now, we need to use the entire data from A to K, actually. And then we need the new existing sheets. Okay, so for this particular sheet, write down student. So we just have to follow the correct syntax. Student project data punctuation. So A1, so there are 300. There are 300 students. So we need to use 302, including the labels. So as you can see, we can label using the columns, values, and rows. Since the question is asking us for the best type of data to use, and we have to understand first that the number of projects is considered as quantitative in the sense that you are counting. However, when you need to categorize the type of data for, let's say, the type of projects, we need to put the value of the department by department as our rows. So for every department, the students can be classified as computer science, digital media, film animation, game design, graphic design. For the columns, let's try to input the number of projects. So let's say the department. So for every counting, these are the count of the students for every department. Of course, they have all of them have the same all of them have the project. So Computer science, 64. Digital media, 54, as what you can see. Now, let's go back to the task. According to our given, which type of graph is the best to use for the number of projects and why? Since later on, for employing and interpreting, we need to compare, we need to determine the highest number of projects, we need to use the bar graph or the column charts. If you will go back, there are two words given in our table. What will happen here is that we need to graph instead using the bar graph. So we need to go to insert, chart, and it's suggested that we can use the pie chart, though we need to compare. So it is suggested that according to our guidelines, the best to use is bar graph. So here you go. So the labels are provided as, you can delete also the labels to minimize. Now, do not forget the title, that these are the number of projects by department. If you want to highlight, if you want to arrange them also, feel free to do it. So despite of these numbers, we may also highlight the most important thing. So for the task number 1, the answer is bar graph. Again, it depends on your intention. However, since we are looking for the highest number, again, we need to use bar graph. And how many projects does every department have? It's already answered in our table. And lastly, in which department has the highest number of projects? So in order for us to answer this question, it's much better for us to highlight the bar itself. So for the bar, it's much better for us to mark all of them with grayish color. And of course, there's no lining. Now, if you will look carefully, it seems like it doesn't give you any insight, not unless you will change the color. Now, let's say your intention is to minimalize the number. Although we need to highlight the more important thing is the game design is the highest frequency. So we need to fill in the different color. Perhaps we will use the blue color. So you may use any color. So based on our graph, the game design is the highest. So that is for our task number 1.